shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who is fearless. A young loner on a crusade to champion the cause in a world of reckless automobiles. These are my motovlogs. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Sena 30K update. Sena 30K update, buyer beware. Live in a Caliente garage. You know, today I've been out for a long ride, put in about 500 miles or so. And so I feel good, made it back in, had a very good ride. And so decided to come in and do some Caliente live in the garage. If you guys watched my last feed, just the other day, we talked about the Sena 30K update, and we had Caliente panel member Mark, and he talked to us about this new 30K update and what he has experienced with this new update so far. And from what we're told, that the 30K update has taken care of the issues with the Sena 30K. So once you do this new update, we're told that it fixes all of the problems that we had with the Sena 30K. Now, once I put that video up, I started getting some feedback on that video. Some of you left some comments on the YouTube talking about the Sena 30K. Today, we are joined by Jarvis Biker out of Canada. How you doing, Jarvis?
Doing good tonight, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing great, doing great. And Jarvis watches the vids. He was tuning in, and he wanted to talk about his experience with the Sena 30K. And so we have him on tonight. We're going to be asking him some questions and getting some of his feedback on his Sena 30K. And we also will be taking a few phone calls, trying to get some of your opinions about some of the things we're going to talk about here tonight. The phone line will be open. I'll give you guys the phone number here in a minute when we take some calls. But Jarvis Biker, again, is from Canada, watches the Caliente live feeds, and he wanted to just come on tonight and talk about his experience with the Sena 30K. So I just hope you guys are tuning in. I hope this will be a good show for you guys, and hope it's educational. Hopefully you guys can learn something here tonight. But anyway, Jarvis, you with us, sir?
Yes, we are.
All righty. Good deal. Good deal. Now, Jarvis, before we get into your 30K experience with this new update, tell me about some of the devices that you actually have or use.
So I guess I could start with all of them.
Okay.
So 2 free wires.
Okay.
Sena audio pack for the Hero 4.
Okay.
I have 2 Q3 Cardos.
Okay.
I purchased in 2014, and they work like the day I bought them. They still function perfectly. I have 2 20S Senas. I have 2 30Ks, and I have 2 Smart H Cardos.
Okay.
Upgraded to the new firmware, so they operate the same as the Pack-Talk Slim, the Cardo Pack-Talk Slim, which I have 1 of.
Okay.
Because we ride with the son-in-law, or the stepson, sorry, they are the choice of his setup. So I keep a set of Cardos active, separate set of helmets, everything. Kind of like you, I've got a little bit of everything. But anyway, we use those exclusively for when we're riding with him. But if we are out on our own, we use the Senas. So in conjunction with the Goldwing, with the free wires connected. And then I have all my GoPros. I have 3 GoPros that I run at any time. Actually got 5 of them, but I only use 3 of them at any time. So,
What
so I'm wired up pretty good when I'm rolling. So
now what kind of gold wing do you have?
I have a 2005, just the base model.
Okay.
It has no heated seat or
Okay.
it doesn't have the factory heated grips, but I put them on, and I'm running dark side on the front only.
Okay.
I have E4 tire on the back, and I like that setup, and I'll probably keep that.
So
Uh,
so so you pretty much do group riding and use
yeah,
different devices depending on the type of riding you're going to be doing that particular day or with that particular group.
right. So the riding group, there are several members that have the 10S, like you have.
Okay.
You're the
Okay.
one that you have left, the only one you have left.
Right.
They've got those units which I can connect to with any of the, well, up until now I could connect either the 30Ks or the 20S. So
Let me ask this question before we dive in it. What has been before we get to updating the center to the new firmware update? What has been your experience with the center 30K prior to the latest update?
always hoping for the new update to come out that fixes it right from the get-go. It's always been a problem. There's always been issues with it, but this last one is the worst. Is for operation for me. It's almost made them useless to us.
So prior to the recent update, because I don't want to get to
yeah,
that just yet. Prior to this recent update, you did you connect the Sena 30K to the FreeWire? Was
yes.
it able to? Was it how was that experience when you?
Hit and miss, especially on the passenger one. It seemed that it would always drop out the music coming from the bike, and we were hopeful that it always kept the intercom, but now we're finding that that's become an issue, and it was an issue. I think the last update, so that would have been the 2.3.1 update. I think it was October 2019. It
Okay.
came out,
Okay.
and what I thought it was going to be the end all be all that would fix it, and it ended up it it seemed to make some things better, but it always seemed like you'd add that one thing. You didn't bring your phone and it worked perfectly the day before, and you brought your phone and put it in the bike and you're riding and it's connected, and then you had intercom problems, or that dropped the free wire out on hers on the back and she wasn't getting the music, and there was just one issue, and it kind of evolved. Wasn't the same thing every time. It was, which made it hard to diagnose what was going on, and
So basically, so what you're telling me is, and we're not talking about the recent update. The 30K was problematic.
yes,
Is that what you're basically getting at?
way more than the 20S.
Okay, way more than the 20S.
Pretty much the same results that you guys were getting. I mean, I've been following your stuff, and the 20S just seemed like it, whether it was the firmware, like the actual circuitry in there was better, if it was a better processor, it just seemed like it was able to handle it. And it, you could do up to 8 riders where you can only do 4 with the 30K, which wasn't an issue for us because usually it was just us 2 up, and we'd
Okay.
be riding, and we go long hauls on the weekend. We'll go to Wasaga Beach, and that's like a 5.5 hour ride. Go have dinner and ride back that night. Like, we don't mess around. And that was the reason that I left Cardo, like, because I had the Q3
Okay.
and they work flawlessly still today. And the one thing I really liked about them was you could take the 2 units, like say you ran into somebody on the road that had one, you could click them together and they would pair. You didn't have to go in and start pushing buttons.
Right.
That was one of the things I liked about them.
But the Cardo Q3 didn't have mesh. That's just Bluetooth only, correct?
Just Bluetooth
Okay.
only, and it worked flawlessly, and I really enjoyed them. And the sound out of those systems was back in the 2014 era is hands down better than what the 30K stock speakers are putting out. Way better.
Okay.
And I had it hooked to my MP3 player in my pocket, Bluetooth, and I'd run down the road. And at the time, I didn't have the Goldwing when I first got them. I had the Concord. So a 5-hour ride on the Concord was, that's about it for, I've done 4 out, taken a few hours off, walked around, did something, visited, jumped back on, did 4 hours back. That's fine, but that's about it for a Concord. You're not as comfy as you are on the Goldwing. And
Okay.
so when we got the Goldwing, we found that the battery was running out. They were good for about 5.5 hours, and that was it.
Okay.
And then we were into plugging them in and doing all kinds of stuff, trying to make them last a little longer. And so we decided that, we'd go to the Smart H, which is the same as the Pactox Slim. It's the exact same looking unit. They look identical. They operate the same. You can voice command, and you could do that years. It's been 2-3 years since we got the Goldwing, and all that stuff that Sena's saying, oh, you can do that now, or you can talk to Siri and all that. I could do that back then.
So
So
you moved to the Sena 30K, correct?
the 30K came after. There's a series in there that I don't have anymore. I sent them back. So
Right.
there's 2 other systems that I tried. I tried the R7, I believe it is, the flat looking one on the side that
Okay.
the Sena.
So you've had a lot of headsets, but I want to get to this 30K.
Yeah.
You had a lot of headsets, so you have a lot of experience with different headsets. Okay, now let's get to the 30K.
Yep.
I did the live feed with one of our panel members, Mark.
Mark
Gave us very good information, very knowledgeable with the Sena, keeping us updated on his experience with the new Sena update. But I want to ask you, what has been your experience since because you initially
30K.
said you was having a lot of problems with the 30K.
Right.
So you hear about this most recent update. Now, this recent update that you heard about, was it before we did the live with Mark? Okay. Yeah. So
I heard about it, and I knew it was coming out May 1st. And as soon as it dropped, I put it on.
What was the update? You remember the number? What update it was?
Yeah, it's the 3.0.1.
Okay, the 3.0.1. So now
the one before that was 2.3.1, and it came out around October 8th, 2019.
Okay, so now
that's the big jump, and Mark was saying that on the video the other night was
right.
It went from here to here, the number. So
he was spot on.
There was probably some in-house versions that they were testing and probably failed until they got to 3.0.1, and then they finally kicked it out to the public. But I agree with him on everything.
Okay.
Except the one point, and we'll get to it later. But so that's the history. It started. I've done all the updates. So it went 2.1 from the stock, whatever it was stock. So 2.1, then it went to 2.3, then it went to 2.3.1, and those are the ones that have been in my systems. Okay. So those are the ones that I've used. And the FreeWire, I did the original update, and it's 1.0.1, the image file for it.
Okay.
So they're both to that, and that's the last update that they've ever done for the FreeWire.
Okay. So now here we are today. Here we are, 2020. This is May the 25th. So here we are. And you was having problems with the 30K off the very last update. So now you do you said 3.0.1 update, the very last update.
Yeah.
And Mark said that
It
it
fixed
corrected,
everything.
it
It
fixed
was
everything. Now,
it was the
what,
holy grail. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And he was spot on with a lot of things he
Yeah.
said. Now, what I'm
While
asking
I'm
you,
sitting here at home going like this.
okay,
I
now
don't
you
know.
saw that video, you saw that
Yeah.
you saw that,
Yeah.
and you actually reached out to me, and that's why we're here today.
Yes.
So
I want to say out first that I was very happy that he had those results for him.
okay,
Um,
what has been your experience? Because we're not taking anything from what Mark
yeah.
said. You know, I
Yeah.
appreciate Mark. He's one of our panel
Yeah.
members. I respect what Mark says.
Well, I have a
What has
theory.
been
I have
your,
a theory, and I'll get to it. And there's a reason that I think that we have different results.
here's the biggest question. Here's the question that I have. What has been your experience now that you've done the 3.0.1 update, based off of what Mark said that happened with his update, that it corrected all of the problems?
Yeah.
What has been your experience with this update?
So I did the updates. I went back out. I did all full free pairing of everything. Put everything back, no pairing at all. Repaired everything. So it was a clean slate for the whole deal. So on my system, I have the headset. I would have the free wire and my telephone, plus Bluetooth mesh, open mesh to my Pelion rider. She would have just the free wire on her system, and that was it. Nothing else other than intercom to me. And tested it, turned it on, had it on the bike, tried everything, had the two helmets there, went, and tested everything, and everything was working fine. Turned on the stereo on the bike, and yes, I had music coming through both. And we back out, a day later, I'm figuring everything's great, And we back out down the end of the driveway. I get off, let her get on. I turn on her system. I turn on mine. I go to put it to Bluetooth intercom, and it wouldn't connect. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So fiddled around, turned one off, rebooted it, tried that, hit the button again to see whether it would repair, and no way. So then I flipped up the antennas and I went to mesh, open mesh, hit the button, it came on, and it said, on mine, it said, entering mesh mode, open mesh, channel 1. And then it immediately said, disconnecting from mesh, going back to Bluetooth mode. Didn't touch anything, didn't do anything. It just automatically shut off the mesh mode and went back to the blue light blinking. Hers stayed in mesh mode, channel 1, open. But it took 3 reboots on mine before they connected in mesh mode. And we were able to get music out of the freeware and everything looked fine. My phone was connected. We started out on our drive. We drove from Jarvis to Paris, Ontario. About an hour, 15-minute ride. Saw some friends at a Tim Horton coffee shop and pulled in to have a little chit chat, and didn't turn off any of the units. I didn't turn off the freewares. I left them live, everything live, so everything was hooked. We had a coffee, stood around outside and talked for a bit, and then they left and we jumped back on the bike to go. No connection, nothing. And it took me probably about 10 minutes, and I finally rebooted it without the free wires turned on. I shut them off, and then we were able to get intercom again, mesh mode, and I just put the music to the outside speakers, just pushed the button and changed it from that. Ran Bluetooth, one of these little MPOW units that they're like $20. So I have that. I had that Bluetooth into the auxiliary line with my satellite radio, and so I was running that from my iPod over to get music other than the stereo itself. And that worked fine. I mean, a $20 thing, and it works better than the $400, $500 Senas were working. So we were still able to do what we wanted to do. And I did it that way so that it took away a connection from the Sena system. So it doesn't go through the free wire. It doesn't do anything. It's directly from my iPod to the MPOW little Bluetooth unit, plugged into a Y connector on the auxiliary line. So I just shut off the satellite radio in the glove box, and I'm able to use my songs off my iPod. So that's working well, and but it's just that was it. We were never. I tried through the ride because we rode for hours more, and it was a beautiful day, and just tried and tried and tried. Hitting the intercom button and reaching in the glove box and turning it on the free wire and making sure that it was to see if it would reconnect again, because maybe we were under a power line or so. I thought maybe there's some reason, but it never did connect that day. And I tried it here tonight because I knew that we were going to be talking, and I plugged both of them in to the helmets and turned them on, and I had the free wires here, and I hooked my iPod into the free wires to send music to the helmet, and they did not connect. They paired, but they did not. No sound came direct, and it was iPod plugged right into the jack on the free wire, and I couldn't get either one of them to send a signal out.
So let me make sure I follow you. Now, trying to connect both 30Ks together in the mesh mode, were you able to get them connected?
Eventually, yes, but I had to shut the free wires off.
So
and that seems to be my issue all the way through, even with the earlier versions of the updates. It was that one thing. It was the audio pack. It was the telephone. It was whatever it was. And that was my beef on my first video that I did last year, where I was complaining about the Senas. And I was like, Sena, just tell me how to hook it up and what will work. It's all your products. Tell me which ones will work together.
Right.
And it was on there for a month or so. And then I went back one day to watch it again just to refresh what I'd said. And it was muted. There was no sound at all. Facebook had taken all the sound off my video.
Let me try. I'm trying to isolate what you're telling me. Okay, taking the music out of this, taking music out. We'll get to the music here in a second. Taking the music out of the equation.
Yeah.
How was the 30K pairing from one to another or in a group with mesh? Just if you're not trying to even listen to me, let's take the free wire out of the equation. We'll take the music out of the equation.
It seemed to be fine, but it was quirky. Every once in a while, she wouldn't be able to buck. She'd disappear, and we'd have to hit the button again. And you're rolling down the road. I don't want to be messing with that. I want my eyes where I'm going, and that was my beef on my first video. Was that so somebody needs to tell somebody that this is creating an unsafe act when you got to be fiddling around and doing the Wizard of Oz thing every time you got to get things
going.
Now, and it's just.
Is she on the bike with you, or she's on a separate bike? Okay, she's on the bike with you. You're both wearing 30Ks. You try to put them in the mesh mode, and it's quirky.
Yep, hit or miss. Could be all right. Could go like the other day. It was once we got connected, everything worked. Phone was okay. Free wire was okay. Intercom was okay. Mesh mode, both of us. drove an hour and a half. Everything was fine. Stopped, didn't shut any of that stuff off, left all the lights blinking, everything powered. Came back from having a coffee, got back on, started the bike, went to go, nothing was working. I did stop, repair everything, shut off the free wires, got it back up, turned them back on, but they didn't connect again. Away we go on the ride. Just the heck with it. We're not waiting for that.
And that's not Bluetooth. This is mesh.
That's mesh.
Okay. So
and now in the past, in the other ones, say in the, I'd say the 2.3 update, once I got that, it seemed like I could kind of make it work. And I'm actually going to go back. I have that flash on my computer still. I'm going to try to flash it back to the old, because it seemed to be the best. It was even better to me on my systems. It seemed to be better on the 2.3 than on the 2.3.1. Yes. So I'm going to go back to that now, and try to use it that way. But see, I've cut off using this other stuff. The audio pack I don't use. I mean, it was just causing everything to jam up and freeze up, and nothing would work. And so I don't use that, which you know how much of an asset that piece of equipment is.
Right. Without that,
for a motovlogger, I'd love to be able to use that, and I can't, because it'll just crap out.
And see, that's what I was trying to do, was isolate the problems you're having. Taking
it seemed to be random. It would just pick whatever was being fluky that day, whatever. That's why I was saying to Sena on the video was, am I turning things on in the wrong order? Is there an order of, okay, turn on your intercom first, then turn on your free wire, then turn on your audio pack? Is there nothing?
Right, and that's what I'm trying to get people to understand.
It didn't seem to matter. It just, whatever was going to fail that day failed that day. I didn't see anything that made it that it was able to be tracked, and it was the same thing to diagnose. It just seemed to jump back and forth between whatever.
See, we have people.
Frustrating. It's very frustrating.
Right. We have people that watch us, these video casts. And some people may not understand, or they may be kind of confused about some things because they never used it, or they may be on the fence about it, and they're sitting there scratching their head. So I was just trying to make it to where they could kind of understand it without a free wire in the picture, trying to put the Sena 30Ks into mesh mode, work for a while, go down the street for about an hour. Next thing you know,
quit.
It's quirky. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't.
So then you got to stop. You got to pull over somewhere. You're sitting on a gravel side road shoulder somewhere trying to. It's just a hazard to be farting around with it, and I don't want to do it. And I'm kind of caught up. I've invested in everything to make it so that it's entertaining on the bike, and then half of it doesn't work half the time. Now with the 20S, I get fairly good, as long as I don't put too many things. I can't use the audio pack still. I can't get, it's just one thing too many. I get to the point where I think there's a force field around my Goldwing that's making everything screw up. Like, it's just It seems like you test it in the house and everything's fine. You test it on the bike sitting in the garage, everything's fine, and then you go out on the road and you're like, what? Like,
I've been down that road, Jarvis. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm just trying to get people to understand, because like I said, you got people watching that may not. I understand what you're saying, but you may have some people out there that may not understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I ride with people and they don't have a clue about these headsets, so I follow what you're saying.
And that's why, like, I wanted to speak. It was to say that don't go thinking that this is all rosy yet, because for me, the jury is way still out. There's no way that this firmware update has fixed everybody. And my theory is that 2.3 fixed me up pretty good. It wasn't a bad system. It seemed to run better. Then they went to the 2.3.1, and that was kind of quirkier, but I was able to work around it. And then, but And it seemed like you'd hear people talking, and one person would say, same as now. One person says, oh, it's Nirvana, it's great. And then you've got the guy like me that's saying, no, that's worse.
So
My theory is that there's two firmwares. There's two 30K hardwares inside there. One version, they do an update and it fixes them, but then it screws up the other one. I kind of think there's something with that. It's got a different chip. They ran out of the good chip, so they put the second best chip in. If there's something like that, like I don't know, but my suspicion is there's something quirky in the hardware that gives people different results with the same unit.
okay, let me ask you this question, Jarvis, because I get it. I understand what you're saying. You try to connect and I'm trying to explain this to people. I understand what you're telling me, but I'm trying to explain it to them.
Yeah, other guys don't have the experience.
Right, they may not understand. So this is
they take it out and they're talking to their pillion rider and everything's great and it's fine.
Right.
But you add a couple of things that Sena says will work.
Okay, I'm gonna get to that. I promise you, I'm gonna get to that. I'm just trying to get us to that. I understand where you're going with it, but I just want to get people to understand what you're saying. You try to do the mesh. You try to connect them. It works fine. It works for a while. Then it doesn't work. This is with the new update, the 3.0.1.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Bluetooth wouldn't work at all.
Bluetooth wouldn't work at all.
No.
Okay. Now you try to connect the Sena FreeWire. And basically the Sena FreeWire lets you stream audio from your bike to
Both
your
ways.
helmet wirelessly, and it allows you to transmit
in stereo and both bi-directional communication.
Right, for the intercom and for the CB radio.
Yes.
Okay, so now
that's the only reason I wanted the FreeWire.
Right.
Was so now to be able to do that because I use my CB.
You pair the FreeWire when you pair the FreeWire to your 30K, you put the 30K in phone pairing mode. Is that correct?
Yeah. Secondary phone. I usually put it on,
but
it doesn't make a difference.
Slot number 2.
I've tried them all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about when you connect the FreeWire when the bike is off and you connect the FreeWire to the helmet and then turn the bike on? I mean, does it matter in which sequential order?
No, because most of the time I would run it with the switch off. So when you power on, it turns the FreeWire on and it boots up at the same time.
Okay.
But the other day I tried it both ways. I turned the switch on, and when we stopped for the coffee, it was actually turned on and ran off the battery for that hour or so that we were sitting there.
So when you turn on the audio from the Gold Wing and it goes through the FreeWire, it's not transmitting to your helmet?
At first, no, it didn't connect, and then it finally connected in the driveway.
Okay.
And then we rode for an hour. We sat for an hour with them turned on, never turned them off, so they stayed connected.
Right.
Helmets were hung on the bike 3 feet away from the FreeWires.
Right.
Like no disconnect at all. And when we got back, they were disconnected and we couldn't reconnect them. And I ended up turning them off.
Okay, so now we have a problem with the FreeWire. I want to make sure I'm understanding you.
Yeah.
Now you're having a problem with the FreeWire not even wanting to transmit to the 30K with the new update.
Yeah. And also the intercom wasn't working. I couldn't hear her. So we had to get rid of all of it to just be able to use the intercom.
Now what happens?
Fluky, and the next time it may be different. Like it's just fluky.
Now what happens when you try to transmit on the CB radio with the FreeWire? Well, I guess
it works if it's connected. It'll work. Okay. Yeah.
So everything
I didn't see any issue that way.
So everything works if it's connected, but the problem is it doesn't want to. Yeah. If it gets connected, it doesn't want to stay connected. Or you can't connect at all.
It'll either not connect or it'll connect and the intercom won't connect. It's like they're fighting each other.
Now
one gets in, the other one can't get in. I think it's.
Now you turn on. Now you want to record video. You want to do a vlog or just record some video. Now you turn the audio pack on, the Sena audio pack with the GoPro Hero 4.
When
what happens at that? What
I'd
happens?
come home, I'd either come home with no sound, or it would kick my phone or intercom off. It'll kick something off.
Okay.
Usually it was no sound. Or it would sound like you were talking through a tin can. It would be really, really shallow sound.
Okay. Now let me say this, Jarvis. Let me
Mhm.
say this. You know, I had a 30K. I had several 30Ks.
Right.
I had the 20
You
initially.
were an unsuccessful right from the start, as far as I could see.
Yeah, I had the 20s. I went to the 30s because, you know, it came out, it was new, supposed to be better, mesh technology, Bluetooth. And when I tried to connect the Bluetooth audio pack to the 30K, I would get the you know, you have a red LED light. It would go to blue, audio pack connected, UHD voice mode. I do my vlog, I get home, no audio.
Yeah.
So that happened to me several times. It was quirky. Sometimes it record the audio.
And you always thought you did a really good video.
Right.
It was always one that you thought, oh man, you nailed this one.
The very last time I was riding out of Arkansas, me and Going Rider Mark, not Mark that talked about the update, but Mark
I know you're
talking.
Yeah.
Got home, no audio. And at that point I said, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying. You turn on your Sena devices and it's not working. So I get it. With the 20S, it works.
Better.
It works a lot better.
Better, yeah.
When you turn on the audio pack, you get a blue light, UHD voice mode. You record. You get home, all the audio is there.
2 of them. Okay. And I bought these after I bought the 30K. These are the Evos.
Right. So
and they're fine. I can do with them. I can get by, but it's not perfect.
So in your opinion, Jarvis, and you're in Ontario, Canada, correct?
Yep.
In your opinion, do you believe that this new update that Sena just came out, that Mark talked about here on live on my show, said that it corrects all of the problems of the 30K? Are you saying the exact same thing, or are you saying that it does not take care of the problems, in your opinion?
It does not for me. Doesn't for my equipment that I have. My Sena stuff. It's not. Nothing's working properly with it at all. And it's worse. It's worse since the update. I'm putting it back. So I don't know if that's possible or if I'm going to make a brick out of it when I do it. But either way, I won't have to put up with what it's doing now.
And see, that's the thing about my channel, Jarvis. For anybody watching this live video cast, I try to keep things honest on my channel. I believe in telling people the truth, not what they want to hear. But just, you know, if it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. If it's good, I'll tell you. If it's not good, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Mark said that the update corrected all of the problems.
All his problems, yeah. For all of them, the 14 of them that they bought. 15, I think it was.
But you're saying that it done just the opposite. And you also, so now, I think you said that you would rather go back to the last update. Is that what you're
I'm going to go back to? I'm going back to the 2.3 and try it again. Because I believe, from what I remember at the time, like that was, when was that? It came out September 1st, 19. And then they came out in October 8th with another one right away in 2019. So it went July, September, October of 2019, they did updates. And I kept all the files on my laptop here. So I looked them up tonight before I came on, just so that I would remember which ones I did. And I know that I didn't like the 2.3.1, the one before this latest one. So I'm going to go back to the September of 2019 firmware. I'm going to try it again to see if I can get usability back enough that, you know, like what I'd like to have is I go on a 10-hour ride to New Hampshire. I'd want to start out probably with the 30Ks. Battery gets low halfway, or, you know, we're starting to have an issue near the end. Pull out the 20S's and pop them on and repair it to the free wires, and away we go again. Everything's good. But right now that those two aren't, they wouldn't, I wouldn't bring them out on a big ride like that because the safety is too important. Then you're on big highways, strange roads. You know, you're running top speed when you're rolling down to those on those trips. Like you guys roll, you know what I'm talking about. So you haven't got time to be messing around pushing buttons and
Right. That's
fiddling around. So
that's why I switched to car though. Let me ask you this question, Jarvis.
yeah.
Do you believe that the 30K in the 50 series, do you think they're the same? Do you think they're different? What is your thoughts? And we've never talked about this. And this is just for my question.
Yeah, I knew
For
you
me.
were going to ask me that. And I kind of went, where was that chart?
Yeah,
I
because
went on the Sena website and there's a chart where it ticks off for each model of the 50R, the 50S. Then it goes the 30K, the 20S. There's one of the helmets in there as well that
okay.
they included in the chart, one of the built-in one systems. And it was the only one that wasn't checked off all the way across on most of them. And I've been looking at the specs, but they don't put the specs up so you can compare one to the other.
Right.
They've hidden the specs. You know, they'll tell you mesh 2.0, but all that, like when you look at the 30K listing of all the specifications list, it's all right there. You know, A2 D, what is it?
A2D.
And all the different Bluetooth
Yeah.
for phone and texting and all that stuff,
Right.
all those things, and GPS compatibility and everything. It listed all that, and I was trying to find the comparison in there, and I thought it was there, and I thought actually Mark on the first video when he was saying that it didn't work, I thought he was saying that they were pretty much the same if you looked at, and now I don't see the specs on there. At least the listing so that you can compare. They make it so you can't compare.
But in your personal opinion, do you think that the 30K and the 50 series are the same? I mean, just in a
yeah, I think it's just a paint job.
You know, I've said the same
lipstick thing. And slap a skirt on it and
lipstick.
Call it pretty.
Still a pig with lipstick. I personally believe that the 30K and the 50 series are the same. Now, if you watch the video of Mark and he talked about once you do this update, it's going to fix the problems with the 30. It's going to bring it online with the 50K, and they're both going to work together.
But then you lose these guys.
Right.
It even says on the website that you lose the ability to talk to these guys.
Right. Which mesh is far superior than Bluetooth.
Right. I believe you lose the ability to talk to those people on your ride where you could in the past. You know, you could bridge or do whatever you had to do. Now you're bound. You either buy now they got 30Ks down to 255 US. I saw the ad on here tonight.
I thought,
or you're doing a 50S or a 50R to be able to communicate, but in actual fact, the one below that you can't talk to anymore is still hands down the better unit. The 20S is the better one. In my opinion, like I probably, if this firmware downgrade to get me back to see if it doesn't work, I mean, they're just going to go in the drawer. I'm not going to use them. I'm not going to waste my time fiddling with them anymore. I'm just going to, I'll probably do like you. I'll just offer them up to somebody if they want to buy them, and I'll let them know that I don't like them, but they may be fine for them if they're not. We're pushing the limit, right? You and I, or any motovlogger, you're all pushing the limit with apparatus and Bluetooth signals and stuff going on. So it's not a comparison to the normal average rider, especially if they don't have a CB on their Goldwing.
Right.
And then the FreeWire is basically you can do it with the pre-FreeWire units that were just mono one way. They were stereo, but they were mono directional. So you could hear everything, but you couldn't speak on the CB. And that was the only reason everybody went to the FreeWire, was to get, so you had wireless connection,
Right.
and you could use the CB.
Correct. When we listen to Mark talk, he said that the update fixes the 30K and brings it online with the 50.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, and I'm not saying that what he said wasn't correct.
It's true for him. I
Right.
agree. I understand that.
Right.
That's what makes me think, because he said that he thought it was a hardware issue at first. And then now that they've updated it, he thinks that it's not, but I do.
You believe it's a hardware issue?
I do, and I think they're different. I think there's units out there, A and B, FreeWire 30Ks. That's what I believe because why else would it not? If it's nirvana for those 14, 15 guys out west, why isn't it for us? Why did it make it worse for us and better and perfect for them? There's got to be a reason, and it's not a bad download. Everything went through fine. I went back and checked the versions. Everything's right. Everything's good. And I can't for the life of me figure out why they're different, other than I suspect that there's, one's got somewhat different chips in it, and they update it for the one and it helps the one, and then when they update it for the other, it detracts from those other ones. So,
well, I believe just the opposite. I believe they're both the same. I believe this is just me talking.
Yeah.
I don't have any proof of this. I believe the 30K and the 50 series are the same.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I agree.
Paint on it to make it look different. This is just my opinion, with a different jog dial. I believe that they can program these things with an update. Mark said that when he did the latest update, it brought the 30K online to the 50. Yeah. To me, and he said now he's completely satisfied with that, and there's no need to buy a 50. If that is the case, and if what he's saying is true, then why would somebody buy a 50 if you just did an update to fix the 30 that makes it brings it online with the 50? I mean, why would you go out and buy the 50 if the update fixes the 30?
Yeah, but if they're the same anyway, you're still going to have the same problems.
Correct.
Even the 50s. Correct. We just haven't heard the horror story yet, I think, is what's going on. But what I was saying was the 30Ks, there's two or more versions of the hardware inside them alone, just the 30Ks.
That's possible.
I want to read it. So you update, they're helping Mark, but it took away from me.
So the update helped him, but it did just the opposite for you. I want to read some of the comments, and then we're going to go to the phone line to see if anybody want to call in and comment if they have anything they want to add. The phone line is 901-468-9032. I'm going to read some of the comments. Just give me a second here. I'm just kind of scrolling down. And as a matter of fact, Mark is actually watching his live cast, and he asks a question. One of his questions, he says, why would you use the bike intercom system and not just pair it to your wife on her headset, whether it was a Bluetooth through the 20S or in mesh with the 30K? Why would you use the bike intercom system?
We weren't using the bike intercom, because all you'll get with it is side tone through the FreeWire. You can't carry on a negligible conversation with anybody with the side tone that comes off of that, using that, because the Bluetooth delay of about a half a second, you'll be talking like you've had a stroke. You're hearing yourself half a second later, and you just garble your vocal totally. So it's unusable. The actual pushing the button on the dash of the bike to use that intercom, totally unusable.
Okay, let's move to the next question. He says no reason to Bluetooth and mesh at the same time. No need for two free wires.
Oh yeah, they always said you had to have one for the rider and one for the passenger.
Yeah, that's what they said. I
Yeah.
actually remember them
Yeah.
saying that in order for the passenger to communicate.
Yeah, because it's hooked to the DIN cable in the
Right.
on the side at the back.
Right.
And mine's hooked to the one at the side by the
Because I remember Sena specifically saying you had to have two of them.
You do. You have to.
You have to have two. If you have a passenger, and a lot of people felt like if I got one, why would I need to have two? They should be. So okay, let me move.
So there's others out there that say the same thing. They say cut the cable, and then, you know, there's other companies out there, two-letter names that we won't mention, but they say seamless integration with your GL 1800 Goldwing. You can cut the cord and you can get everything, and their Bluetooth system does the same thing. So to talk or to listen to music, you have to push the button to shut the one off. So say you want to warn your rider that hang on, you know, this car is coming out in front of us, hang on. You got to push the button to do that. So you got to take your hand off the handlebar to activate it with the other guys, which we won't mention their names. But
okay, let me move to the next question. And I don't know if it's the same as the first one or not, but it says there's a conflict while trying to use the bike intercom system and mesh at the same time. The headset doesn't know what to connect to.
No.
So I guess that's a statement. There's a conflict while trying to use the bike intercom system.
But we're not using the bike intercom system. We're just hooking to the entertainment system through the FreeWire, which is it's designed to do. It's designed to have so you can hear the stereo playing and to be able to use two-way communication on the CB radio. So, but you do not have the ability to use the intercom on the bike. Take away your Bluetooth, tap the button, shut down your Bluetooth to your pillion rider, push that other button and talk through the FreeWire and out, and it'll be complete side tone. You won't be able to carry on a conversation. You will be unintelligible what you're saying because you'll garble your voice so bad because of the side tone that it's just unusable. So we never turn that on. We use the intercom between the two headsets, between the two 30Ks. And then the music comes over. So when you speak, the music drops. This is how it's supposed to work. The music is supposed to drop in volume. You carry on your conversation, and then about a second after you stop talking and everything is quiet, the music will come back up to the level that you've got it set at. And it will do that on most, but not this last firmware update. It won't do it. But.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the bike intercom is not being used, guys. Like it's just not, like it's useless in that mode. If you've got now my headset mounts on the helmet, I have the ones that Sena supplies with, I have the cables in the trunk. So if the Bluetooth's all failed for some reason and we were on a big trip, I can plug in the cable and plug into the bike and use them that way. And it's a Sena unit. I paid for those headset mounts to have that backup. But then you would use the intercom through the wire. You wouldn't have the Bluetooth to use. So
let me kind of change the course just a little bit. Now, what's been your experience with Sena as far as the warranty? You was telling me about your experience when you have a problem there in Canada.
Yeah, so with the R7s, I found that with the firmware update on them, you were supposed to be able to do the multitasking with them, the same as you can with the 20S and the 30Ks. But I found that to be not, it was a problem. They didn't work. So I couldn't do the stuff with the other items just the same as I ended up having trouble with the other Senas. But so I returned them. We have a parts outlet up here called Fort Nine. They're out of Quebec. And it's like the Canadian Revzilla, I guess, is about the way to compare it. And they said box them up and send them back, and then once we see them, we'll decide. You know, so you've used up some of the consumables, the stickers and the mounts and everything, and so they gave me a credit. They wouldn't give me a refund, but they gave me a credit. But that was Fort Nine. That wasn't Sena. But Sena authorized them to do that. So then I've contacted Sena a couple of times about the 30K problems, and then I gave up. I had that new mesh unit that you can mount in your bike so that others can connect to it, that puts them into the mesh.
Yes.
From Bluetooth to mesh. I sent a question to them. It's about a year now, and they have not replied to me yet on it. And my question was, does it make it that any type of mesh can connect to it, or just Sena mesh? And there was a couple other things I asked. I can't even remember what it all was, but
did that device did it work for you? That
I never bought it because they never answered me back.
Okay.
It's been over a year and they haven't replied to me. I think
let me just ask you a general question. What is your overall thoughts about Sena? Would you buy any more Sena products? I mean, do you think that people should go out and buy Sena? Do you think that maybe they should reconsider buying Sena products? Or, I mean, what's your thought just overall with your Sena experience, with their devices, with their customer service, with answering questions?
Even though the 30Ks are cheap now and you can get a really good deal on them, I would recommend that you don't. And my jury is out on the 50 series because I haven't heard anything. It's too soon to hear the horror stories and all that. So, but as far as the 30Ks, if you can find good 20Ss, grab them if you can get them and forget about the mesh for now. I mean, the Cardo mesh is hands down the way to go, but you don't have the free wires, right?
Right.
And we can, as well as I, that you can connect a free wire to a Cardo, and you put a little cable like that inside your Goldwing, and you hook another Cardo into that, and then you do have two-way, but you're adding another headset to the bike. Correct. It's kind of like that system that you're using now, that older 10S thing that you've got in the glove box. But and when I did my video, I don't know if you watched it, there was a loud buzzing noise in the video when I keyed the mic, and I thought maybe it was from doing the upgrade. Right. But it ends up it's the little walkie-talkie was the problem. It's this thing that had I've been out on the road. I talked to a group of about 7 Goldwings, and we talked for miles. We were heading in different directions, and we were on channel 15, and we talked for probably 10 or almost 15 minutes going full highway speed the other way, clear as a bell. So there's nothing wrong with the Goldwing, even with that system in there. So it does work, and it does what it's supposed to do. So, yeah, I probably, what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out a different free wire, or just use the free wire hooked second phone pairing on the Cardo, and run my system and put one of my Sena or my Cardos, pair it to my headset, and just go that way, and just do away with the other stuff, because the Cardo I bought those in 2014, and they work like the day I bought them, and they're great. And then the newer ones are even better with the hands-free, no pushing a button or doing anything like that. So I I really, I think it's time for me just to give up on Sena and just part ways and shut my mouth, because I've been kind of bashing him kind of hard, and
Well,
you
well,
know, it's
we we need to put the we have to tell people the truth. They may not.
I just wanted to warn people that it's not perfect, that there's others out there that are still having trouble, and I'm really glad that Mark's problems all got fixed, and that you know, he's seeing the benefits of that system and using it for their rides, and that's great, and I hope it stays that way. I hope nothing, like, don't update them again, because you might go back, like, it's like the popcorn noise. They came out and said that they got rid of the popcorn noise,
Right.
and then they did another update and it was back, you know, and you're like, oh man, like,
So you don't trust them to do your, Jarvis.
I just don't, I don't, I you know, if they did everything that they're supposed to do and were reliable and everything was fine, I'd be a happy boy, but I'm not. I'm not.
They give you false promise. And let me give you a little quick testimony with me. When I was doing my vlogs with the 20 and the backpack, the audio pack, it was no problems at all. When I bought the Sena FreeWire and tried to record CD communications through the backpack, through the 20S to the GoPro, nothing.
Yeah, because it was that one more thing.
It just wouldn't work. Yeah. When I even had the wired clamp kit and plugged it into the Gold Wing, and even though it had a wireless 20S on there, it wouldn't record it to the backpack, which means that when I did a video, I had no audio, which defeats the whole purpose of having the backpack.
It's so deflating when you get home and you put the chip in and try to play and there's no sound. It's just like it's awful.
So even now, everything that I do with my videos, everything is hacked. You know, I'm cutting corners. I don't talk about everything I do because it's just kind of secretive. But you know, I've ran into.
Well, we're watching to find out. You know.
Yeah.
It's everybody. There's a pirate. There's a little pirate in all of us, right?
Yeah, I mean, I ran into those same problems. You know, trying to record. You know, for a person that just ride. Let me say this, Jarvis. If you just, for anybody that's watching this live video cast, if all you're gonna do is connect to your rider or passenger, and you're gonna talk on your intercom system, all of them pretty much will work fine.
Yeah.
You're not, very simple.
Yeah.
You know, even if you want to listen to some music, pretty simple.
Yeah.
The problem comes in when you start trying to pair the bikers. You start trying to talk on the CB radio. You're trying to record for a video. That's when you start running into problems.
Yeah.
If all you're doing is just talking to another biker, going down the street, maybe pair it to your cell phone, the SMH10 works perfect. The GoPro works perfect. But when you hook the backpack to it, you try to go to UHD voice mode.
But they tell us that they do work.
Right.
They tell you do all this, and then it doesn't.
Yeah, because even me, I push it to the limit, man. And that's why I switched to Cardo, because Cardo kind of, it pretty much took care of the area that I needed to. Is it perfect? That's not perfect, but it took care of
solid on connection. When you're intercom and all of that, that's you can't beat them. There's just nothing that's out there that's anywhere close to them.
Now Sena makes cameras, so you can buy a SMH. I mean, you can buy
the Sena camera
Pro, or I think it's called a Sena 10C Pro. You can buy that. You can have an all-in-one helmet, communicator, all in one with the camera. Cardo doesn't make cameras. They just make, the communication device. So Sena kind of has more things on the table that they deal with.
Yeah, and more things specifically for the Gold Wing.
Yeah, more things specific for the Gold Wing. So if all you're doing is just, you want to just, you and your wife get on the bike and you just want to be able to talk to each other going down the road, you can go buy a SMH5 and it'll work.
Yeah.
You can buy a Sena SMH10.
Yeah, the 7R would work perfect for them. Low profile, no, catching it on your collar, all that stuff.
If you're doing
they were good for that.
If you're doing a single vlog, you could take a lapel microphone, stick it in your helmet, and plug it into a voice recorder.
Yeah.
No problem. Two separate things.
Yeah.
But
well, that's what I do now. My motovlog helmets have separate mic right to the Hero 7.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, external mic adapter, and then I run full power packs on everything.
The problem
or plugged right into the bike. So yeah.
The problem comes in when you start trying to do all of this extra stuff. So you're kind of like me. You push it to the limit.
Yeah, but I've been weaning away from that to get it down to 2 or 3 things on mine. Hers has only got 2, and it's given us problems. And mine with 3 things was now with this new firmware is giving me problems, and it's just not.
And I can tell you're frustrated with this whole situation.
Oh, totally. Well, it's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So 30K is 255 US right now. So what's that in Canadian? It's like maybe 400. We're paying about 41 cents on the dollar right now. Maybe it's a little better than that now, but in the last few weeks with COVID, it's been 41 cents on the dollar. So half your dollar is going to exchange for me to buy that.
I got 3 words. I'm sticking to Cardo. Let me ask you a question, Jarvis. I don't know if we can or not. Do we want to try to get Mark on the line to see if he I don't know if he's even available.
Yeah.
Mark, out there in California, if you're watching this live feed, I know you was on earlier. If you want to try to get in and maybe answer some of the questions that Jarvis may have, or maybe you can clear something up for him that he's, some of his questions that.
Yeah, I don't think those guys are doing the 2 or 3 different items. I think they're just intercom and phone probably, and that's it. And that for the 30K is it's probably a breeze, because I know before the update, when he was saying he was having trouble and the mesh wasn't even working at all, mine was actually working, okay, but it seemed to be that at the time it was the wife's that was given the connection problem for some reason when it was connected to only myself and to the bike, which should have been a breeze for that one, and it wasn't. So
well, we're gonna see Mark out in California. If you're watching this live video cast, we're live in the Caliente garage. If you would like to chime in, you're welcome to. I'm not sure if you're even on or if you're busy. You may not even be busy. This is not planned. This is in.
Might be having dinner.
He may be. He may be at work or something. I don't know. If he wants to come on and have something to say, he's welcome to do so. We're live in the Caliente garage. We've been talking about the new Sena 30K update. We're on with Jarvis Biker. He's out of Ontario, Canada. He's saying that the new 30K update does not work for him. He said it did the exact opposite. He's been having more problems now with this update than he had with the last update. So if you guys have any questions that you want to ask Jarvis Biker, or if you have a testimony or a comment, the phone line is wide open, 901-468-9032. If you guys want to chime in on this video, 901-468-9032. If any of you are watching this live feed and you have any questions for Jarvis Biker, or if you have a comment, or if you have some information that you want to get out there, the phone line is wide open, 901-468-9032. Go ahead, caller. You're on with Caliente, live in the Caliente garage.
Hey, Chris. This is Alan from New Jersey. How are you?
Hey, Alan from New Jersey. I'm doing fine. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you. Hi, Jarvis. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I mean, I, your frustration, I've heard throughout the community who use Sena or any headsets. They just don't, I don't know, they just don't seem to work well. And that you guys are pushing the limits. For me, I don't have a CB on my Goldwing. I communicate with my wife or maybe another one or two riders, and I have the Sena 20S, and it works perfect for me. I listen to music. I don't try to connect a ton of people, and I never have issues.
Right.
But I guess you guys are trying to connect all of these Bluetooth devices together and do all of this extra things, and I just don't think they're really capable of doing it. I just don't believe that they have it mastered.
For me, it's not that I'm putting a lot of riders together. It's only myself and my wife, and that's the issues. We are having all these issues with that. The part where things are more and more is with the motovlogging. So trying to hook the audio pack into the camera and use it through the headset to record voice and things like that, it just failed. It was unsuccessful. So go ahead.
Alan, did you say it's just you and your wife that you hooked to?
Well, no, I was out today. I did 400 miles.
Okay.
And I was hooking to another rider, and we rode all day long. Not an issue.
So
we both have 20Ss.
All right. So just two people.
That's it.
Right.
Do you have your phone hooked to you too? Like, is it what's hooked to your headset? Like phone and anything else?
Yeah. So I hook up my phone and my GPS, and those are the two things that I hook up.
Wow.
Nothing else. And if I do record with my GoPro, I hook that up with a mic right to inside my helmet, and I just talk into the GoPro. I don't try to go through the Sena at all. So it's just my voice on the GoPro.
Let me respond to what he said to you just a second ago, Jarvis. Alan, the Sena, it advertises that it'll do these things. Yeah. I think that's where Jarvis' frustration is that.
No. Yeah. I hear you. I do hear you, Chris, but my experience in life sometimes is, they say you can do all these millions of things, but it's just, I think what the issue is that each one of these things, maybe he's using, a GoPro, you're using something else, right? It's the whole communication between all of the devices. They just don't seem to talk well together.
Right. That's why. That's why
they got Sena's name on them. That's the thing. It's not that there's some other manufacturer. It's all their stuff, and they say it connects together, and it doesn't.
Right. Well, see, Sena advertises. I think that with the 20S, you can hook up to 8 riders.
Yeah.
And once you get over 4 riders, the connection becomes unstable.
Yeah.
And it starts to snap. It starts to crackle. It starts to pop. Yeah. So they advertise that these things will work. It just, when you try to, if they do what they say that these devices would do, then we wouldn't be having this discussion. But I mean, I understand.
What I think these companies need to do is they need some research and development and give people like yourselves, new equipment. You guys sign a contract, don't tell about their equipment. And you guys test it out and then work with them to
sign me up.
This is not working.
Sign me up.
This doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
This way they make a better product. So it's really funny. I'm in the IT business, and I've talked to vendors, right? The people who write the software I've talked to. And the funny thing is those guys who write the software want to talk to people like myself who use the product every day, and each business uses it differently. And why does one business able to use it without any issues and other ones are like
have big problems, and that's because of how they use the software. So
Right.
that's just my.
To me, it seems like you're just adding one. You add that one more piece, a free wire, an audio pack, whatever it is, other than what everybody else is using that isn't having problems. That's when we're hitting the glitch, and
Yeah, no,
then it scrambles everything. Then you can't connect it. You know, it'll drop out your intercom, and you can't get it back, and it just causes mayhem that you shouldn't be dealing with on the side of the road.
Hey, we got. I don't mean to. Let me jump in. We got Mark Ortiz. He wants to get on. We're gonna bring him on in just a few seconds. But before we do that, I just want to say, this video cast is brought to you by Cardo.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there to you guys. Stand by for just a second. We're gonna see if we can get Mark in here.
There he is.
Sure.
So again, with all these problems everybody is having, I'm rocking with Cardo. I just want to put that out there, just to remind you guys. This is why I switched to Cardo. I'm tired of all of the problems. I understand what Alan is saying, pushing these things to the limit. I understand Jarvis' frustration. I understand what Mark in California is saying. I get it. This is why I'm sticking with Cardo.
Yeah, and just to emphasize one thing, I after I saw Mark's comments with yours the other night, I have a friend of mine who has two 30Ks, and I text him saying, listen, I think he's had a lot of problems. I said, just update it, see if it helps. So he was able to update the one headset. He cannot get the other headset to recognize on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have it at home, and I took it home and I said, let me look at it. And I hooked it up to my helmet, and I could play music on it. It connects to the phone, but even the app on the phone doesn't recognize the headset. And you hook it to the computer, it doesn't recognize the headset at all.
Which type of headset is this again?
It's a 30K.
It's a 30K.
So the drivers on the computer is not recognizing it when you plug it into the PC?
Yeah, when you plug in the USB port, it doesn't recognize the unit at all. When I try to connect it with my phone app to see what firmware it is at, it doesn't recognize it at all. But it connects to my phone. I can listen to music on it. I can talk on it because I can communicate back and forth between my other headsets. But I can't even update the software on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. We're live in the Caliente Garage. We've been on for the last hour and 20 minutes. We're on with Jarvis Biker. He's out of Ontario. Just a short video. We're on with Jarvis Biker, who's out of Ontario, Canada. And we also, now we have Mark, Moto Mark, Caliente panel member out of California. He's joining in. We appreciate having you, Mark.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me in.
I'm glad you was able to get in on this question, live video cast.
Yeah, and I've been listening to bits and pieces of it because I've been dealing with the family issue, but
okay,
I got a gist of some of the stuff that's going on. I may have some answers.
So first of all, before you get started, Mark, I just want to say we appreciate the information that you provided with us. We wasn't trying to take anything from you. All the information was helpful. You was accurate in a lot of your your findings. So we're just trying to get to the bottom of, we're trying to get to the root of the problem, if there is a problem. Yeah. And so Jarvis Biker has been experiencing a lot of issues. Now that he's done the update, I know you said you did the update and it took care of everything. So
right,
do you want to chime in on anything that we said? Maybe you have any questions you want to say?
And yeah, I agree with a lot of what Jarvis is saying, but I can tell you from personal experience, don't count on the Sena technical support to try to help you figure these things out, because they are of no use to you at all. You have to learn how to do it yourself, and it's a learning curve. And just like Jarvis had talked about, where, man, all I want is for you to tell me, what do I pair? What is the sequence? What do I turn on first to get this thing to work the way I want it to work? No one will give you an answer. And so you really have to learn how these devices work and do it yourself. I've been listening pretty intently on what Jarvis is saying with regards to his issue. And first of all, as a marketing gimmick, Sena tries to sell you 2 free wires and 2 headsets to plug into either your 5-pin DIN for your Honda Goldwing or your 7-pin DIN for your Harley Davidson bikes. And the reason they're trying to do that is they're making money. They're going to make another $500 off of you if you, or another $250 off of you if you buy one of their free wires. And so the whole idea behind having the free wire for the passenger is so that you can use the bike's intercom system to communicate with each other. Well, really, there's no need to do that if your passenger is, let's just say both passenger and rider have 30Ks. Well, there's no reason for the passenger to have a free wire to intercom with you because you're using the mesh to intercom with the passenger. And so if you have both free wires plugged in and turned on, and you have the intercom button on the Goldwing turned on, and you're trying to also connect with a mesh or a Bluetooth signal, the bike and the free wire are competing with each other to figure out who's going to talk over that intercom, you or me.
That's not the case here, though, Mark.
And because I know with my 20S, I accidentally had my intercom button turned on my Goldwing.
What year's your bike, Mark?
Well, this problem was on my 2006. The bike I have now is a 2017.
Okay.
But when I originally had my first free wire, it was on my 2006 Goldwing first gen GL 1800. And I had the intercom button accidentally turned on, and I was getting a wicked feedback, could not figure it out.
Right.
And then I looked down at my dash and I saw the intercom was on. And as soon as I turned that intercom off, it got rid of the problem.
That's where I was saying that I was getting side tone.
Yeah.
So I hear myself and it's delayed and it just screws you up. You can't talk.
And there's like just a wicked vibrate or a tone that comes through there. But if you are trying to use your intercom at the same time as a Bluetooth or a mesh communication, have you tried turning the intercom off?
Yeah, I don't run with it at all, ever. It's never been on because you can't talk.
So then what's the reason?
And that's not just with the Sena, that's with the J&M as well.
What's the reason for having?
Now, Sena, I talked to Sena's tech support about the side tone, and they told me that there was a setting on the Goldwing that had to be changed at the shop, where you had to take it in and they put it on the computer. Yes, I know. And so my bike is a US bike. So I called US Honda Heavy Industries and I talked to the representative and they said that is not true. There is no such thing. So Sena just sent me on a wild goose chase. It took about a week and a half to find out that it was all BS. And so then I knew what I was dealing with then. It was just, it's like smoke and mirrors and send you off on a wild goose chase and hope you go away.
So what is the reason why you have a free wire set up for your wife on the back of the bike?
So she can hear the stereo.
So the stereo coming from the bike?
Yeah.
Okay, so
and the CB, she can talk on the CB. I just have to key the mic. She can do everything that I can do when it's working.
Right, and so then the intercom is turned off.
Right.
And how are you connecting the 30Ks to each other?
In the past, I could do either. I could do Bluetooth or mesh.
So which one do you do? I mean, because mesh is your better way of communicating.
Yeah, but it uses a little bit more power. So for a long ride, we would use Bluetooth because it wasn't going to use as much juice, and we'd make it most of the way with intercom.
Okay, so
So-
the one of the good things that the 30K has on it is to combat that issue is it has the quick 20-minute charge.
Right.
So let's say you stop for lunch and you plug it in for 20 minutes, you're going to get 5 hours of
Yeah.
talk time on it.
Yeah, I usually
And,
carry like a battery pack in my pocket.
Yeah, and just keep it plugged in.
And I got plugs on the bike. I can plug them in. I have no problem with that. Like that. I mean,
Yeah.
if I get 10 or more hours out of one, I'm a happy boy. But it's not that. It's the fluky connections, and you just add that one more Bluetooth item, and they just, you don't know which one's going to fail. It's not the bike intercom. That's got nothing to do with it. I don't even use it because it's useless to us. And
Yeah.
you know, most of the time we do run in mesh, and the odd time when I want to save battery, I'll drop it down to the Bluetooth. But right now we couldn't make them connect like this far apart. Like there's one helmet here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
So when
tonight before the meeting, I hooked them up and paired them in Bluetooth, and everything's fine. But then I turned on these guys, the free wires. I turned them on and just had them here. As soon as I turned them on, then the intercom quit. It disconnected the two helmets.
The Bluetooth intercom quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
but do you get the same result if you mesh intercom with each other?
well, that's where the other day we were successful for like an hour or so, and then we stopped. We didn't turn them off, and they disconnected on their own for some reason. And then I couldn't get the music back, so I just went to opening. Just went to the speaker system on the bike and listened to the music that way.
And so
we had intercom. Then we had intercom again as soon as I disconnected the free wires.
And so your source of music is coming from your XM radio through your bike out to your free wires
through the
and
auxiliary
intercom.
button, and the CB's on as well most of the time. And so like what I usually do is just the Sirius radio going, but then the last trip that I went, I had one of these little MPOW Bluetooth units that I plugged in on a Y connector with the Sirius radio, and I just turned off the satellite radio. And this is connected to my iPod Touch, so I Bluetooth to my iPod to the MPOW through the Bluetooth. Worked beautifully, way clearer sound than coming through the other way. So I was quite impressed with that little unit, and I'm going to carry it with me all the time now.
So I take it a lot of your riding is done with people who are using Bluetooth headsets as well as CBs?
We don't, the riding group that I'm in, there's about 30 riders. There's probably 4 that have Bluetooth units. They're all Senas, and they're all like the older S10 type ones. And they don't want to use them when they're on a ride. They'll do it when they're alone, but when they're riding with other bikes, they seem to not want to do it. So I just have it for music while I'm on the bike on a ride.
Yeah, Chris and I had talked about this when we talked a few days ago that we don't have anybody that is running 2 free wires do their 5-pin DIN. So that's obviously another case study that we certainly need to know about, because but the one thing for what you said, for our purposes, the way we want to use it, it's working for us. But and so I'm trying to wrap my mind around what could be causing all of this. And I know one of the big things with these 30Ks and now the 50Ss is that there's probably a competition going on between the Bluetooth and the mesh platforms that are running off of both units. And I'm not an electrical genius by any stretch of the imagination, but we had one guy that says, well, I turn my headset on, then I turn my Bluetooth on, then I turn my mesh on. And you don't need to do all that. All you need to do is just turn on one or the other. the Bluetooth, you have to have it in these headsets so that you can Bluetooth to your free wire, so that you can Bluetooth to your phone, so you can Bluetooth to external GPS if that's what you have on your bike. That's why.
Yeah,
they
but they're
have to
all
have that
different
platform.
protocol. They're all
Yeah.
different protocols, right? So,
Right.
I mean,
And
usually the phone is the last thing to go, but there's been a couple of times where it's disconnected it. But
right. And I know we had a guy that, and the 30K and the 50S Bluetooth I think it's 2.0 Bluetooth now.
Yep.
They're supposed to be the same on both units with this latest 30K firmware update. And I know that there was a guy that was on a ride for 6.5 hours. He said everything worked great, and all of a sudden the things just went cattywampus.
Yep.
And they
you never know. It's as fluky as it frustrates the hell out of you. You know, you got a lot. I got a lot invested in it. I mean, I'm not. You know, I do pretty well. Like to buy it, it's no big deal, but it's frustrating that you do invest in it and then the stuff doesn't work as advertised.
Right.
Hey, Mark, do you
Mark, that way.
do you think that the 30K, because you said once you did the update on the 30K, the new update, it brought it on par with the Sena 50 series. Do you
That's
think
what Sena says?
Do you
Mesh 2, they say.
Do you, Mark? Do you think that the Sena 30K and the Sena 50 series, do you think they're the same? Do you think they're the same headset? Maybe an update makes them different.
I think there's some finite differences with the units. I think the Bluetooth is the same. I believe that there's a 10S Bluetooth, system on the Bluetooth side because of the four unit pairing ability. The 20S has 8, which is really useless because you can never get past 3 without losing some quality. But am I right, Jarvis?
Yeah.
So, but because the reason I asked that question is because you said on the last video cast that now your 30Ks are working properly. There's no need to go to a 50.
Well, exactly. I mean, the things that you're looking at a 50 is what they say is you're going to get better quality of sound. So in other words, it's going to play louder in your helmet, which I don't know why you would need that if you want to hear the ambient stuff that's going on around you. But each is their own. But it also has an enhanced. Digital assistant enhancement, which makes it easier to use with bikes that have CarPlay or Google Play, and it's supposed to work a lot easier with them when you give it voice commands. It's got some longer battery life, but not anything significant. I mean, we're talking an hour and maybe an hour and a half at the most on either platform.
So they can probably they're all the same. I mean, with a battery upgrade because they make batteries better every year. I believe it's all the same with an update. And again, I understand Jarvis's frustration. I understand everything everybody's saying. This is why, I'm not trying to be funny or redundant, but this is why I went to the Cardo. I get it. I get it. I mean, I push these headsets to the limit more than anybody. Trust me. This is why I went to the Cardo. Even I pushed this to the limit. Once you max out with 15 people, now you're running into another issue. And like Cardo said to me, well, the average person wouldn't do that. Yeah, but I'm not the average person. So, based off my experience, this is the what works best for me. I don't know, man.
I think Jarvis and I pretty much have a very similar way of wanting to use our headsets. And when it comes to being able to listen to our turn by turn or just whatever comes out of the 5-pin DIN. I don't know if he has a navigation system on his bike or if it's just a standard.
I do, but I don't have the sound on because it's just another Bluetooth item that would screw up, so I don't use it.
So
I just have it in where I position it, it's in view when I'm riding. I can see it out of the corner of my eye. So when
Do
it
you have
starts,
an external?
yeah, I've got the 590 Garmin. The
Okay.
reason I went to it was because it had the TPMS system, and my bike doesn't have that, so I added that
Oh.
on, and that I found was a great add set. But I had a TomTom Rider 4 series, I believe, still have it, that I used before that, and I never hooked it Bluetooth. No,
Chris,
I
what were
never-
you going to say?
I want to say this. I want to change the course just a little bit. Just a little bit here. Now, if Honda, and we're going to go back to some of my earlier videos, if Honda would have made this bike Bluetooth, we wouldn't be having this discussion. Because
Maybe.
the problem is we're trying to hook the Cardos
Yeah.
up to the Go Wing to listen to the CB radio. We're trying to hook the
Trying to-
Senas up to the Go Wing to be able for the passenger and the rider to listen to the same music. If Honda would have made this GL 1800 Bluetooth from the manufacturer, we probably wouldn't even be having this discussion.
Yeah,
Right.
but they didn't even put tapered bearings in the steering head back in like in the 2000s, and I had a 74 900 that after about a year or so I put them in that back then.
There's,
So
I love
Yeah.
my Go Wing, the most luxurious motorcycle in the world. There is no reason why a $30,000 motorcycle shouldn't have heel toe shifter. They give you foot pegs. There's no reason why you should buy a CB radio that should be standard on this bike. There's no reason why this bike shouldn't be Bluetooth. Now, they Bluetooth the 2018 and up,
Yeah.
but then they cheated you by making the bike smaller. They gave you smaller saddlebags. They gave you a smaller trunk. They took away the foot warmers. They gave you a smaller seat, a smaller windshield, smaller fairing, lighter bike. And then they call themselves giving you a more efficient engine, but gave you a smaller gas tank.
And they charge you more money.
And they charge you more money. If Honda would have made this Go Wing Bluetooth, we probably wouldn't be having this question. And if they would stop cutting corners, we probably wouldn't be having this discussion.
Yeah.
You know, and we're using Sena, we're using Cardo to try to elevate ourselves up where we need to be. But that's because Honda didn't do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And with the new bike, it's so small, a lot of people don't even want it. I mean, who wants the tiny? Well, I'm not going to say who doesn't want it because it's a smaller bike. I'm not saying it didn't need upgrading, but they could have easily have upgraded this big bike. They could have added Bluetooth to this bike. They could have added an electronic windshield. They could have updated the dashboard.
Yeah.
You follow me? They could have actually made two Go Wings. They could still make this GL 1800 and make the smaller Go Wing for people that want to buy the smaller bike for whatever reasons, and for the people that love the big bike.
Behemoth.
Right. So I personally feel like Honda cheated all of us. And so if they would have taken care of business, in my opinion, instead of trying to cut corners in each and every way, we probably wouldn't be sitting here tonight having this discussion about Sena, who's trying to raise the bar and falling short, in my opinion. And Cardo doing a better job, but they don't deal with cameras and things like that. I think that if Honda would have taken care of business from the beginning, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I mean, back in the day, Honda gave you air ride suspension. They took that away. They gave you a tool kit that came standard on the Go Wing. They took that away. The SC
Not in
model,
Canada.
not in
Yeah, but
Canada.
I got an American bike, so I didn't get one.
So a lot of the things that came standard, on the Honda Go Wing back in the 90s, they want to charge you for it today. It's crazy.
Mhm.
So, I'm really, turned off with the whole Honda ordeal with this new Go Wing. I could go out tomorrow and buy a brand new 2020 Go Wing, but why would I want to do that? They could have easily put the DCT engine on this 2018. I mean, on this GL 1800, but they didn't. I just personally feel like they should have made two bikes, the big bike, the little bike, and they could have just added a few upgrades to the GL 1800, and nobody would be complaining about how small of the new wings are. You got,
Well, you know what they're going to do is they're just going to They're just going to take Corbin's design on the saddlebag door extenders and trunk extender, and they're going to put that on their bikes, and they're going to build them that way probably in the next 2 or 3 years to deal with the trade-off on the cargo.
Well, they already made the grab handles for the passenger bigger, like traction did.
There's no reason why Max McAllister at Traction Dynamics should be making handrails for the Gold Wing. He shouldn't be making modifications for the front end to keep it from wobbling. They shouldn't be making aftermarket doors and trunks to make it bigger, which that should be standard with Honda. So I feel like we're being cheated. That's one reason why I'm sticking to this bike. And people have commented on my vids and say, when are you gonna get your new Gold Wing? To me, this is the best. This is the most luxurious motorcycle in the world, and I won't take it back. I'm not knocking the smaller Gold Wing. It fits some people riding style. I get it, but I feel like Honda is cheating all of us. And if they would have made the bike Bluetooth from the manufacturer like they did the 2018, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation, because if they made that bike Bluetooth from the manufacturer, you wouldn't have to be putting in an aftermarket Bluetooth. You wouldn't have to be plugging in a Sena FreeWire.
Because that stuff is a lot more reliable. Like, I mean, there's those Bluetooth units, those ones you slide in on your sun visor in your vehicle. Those things are crap. Yes. They last a couple of days and then they don't pair, and you get in and out of your vehicle and they disconnect and you never get. It's the same crap. It's just
Sierra Electronics shouldn't be hacking into a Sena SMH5 or a 10 to try to pair. You know, I mean, this is 2020, and you can put a man on the moon, but you can't figure out how to make the bike get better miles per gallon.
Yeah, they did that with a computer that was about half as stupid as your cell phone is.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I mean, they did that with all that. I mean, I got a little beef with Cardo that Cardo didn't get into this making accessories for us, but because with their technology, I think they could do it and make it work.
I've talked to Cardo. I said, why don't you make a device that would allow you to connect your Cardo helmet to the Gold Wing, right? And allow you to use the CB radio just like the FreeWire. I talked to Sierra Electronics and nobody can give me answers. It's ridiculous. I think Cardo is doing a better job than Sena as far as the communications is concerned. Yeah. And I just, flat out said, hey, make a device like the Sena FreeWire that'll communicate with the Gold Wing, so you can talk to the CB with your Cardo. Yeah. And they said that, it's not a market for it. I said, well, there's more GL 1800s out on the road than there are 2018, 2019, 2020s. You never see a pack of 2018 Gold Wings going down the highway. If you watch the video I did at Wingding a couple years ago, Wingasm, you saw all of those GL 1800s. You saw maybe three 2018 Gold Wings. Out of all those bikes, out of thousands of bikes at Wingding, you saw 3 2018 Gold Wings. Mm-hmm. And 2 of them was with my group, or the group I was with. We was all together. 2 of them was with us. So
we're seeing more and more of them up here.
Yeah, you're seeing more and more of them now. But there are more GL 1800s out on the road. So why is there not a Bluetooth device that Cardo would not make that would allow you to use the CB intercom or to communicate to where you can listen to all of the Gold Wings infotainment through your Cardo? Yeah. So,
Hey, Chris, I gotta get cracking here in a little bit, but real quick, Jarvis, on your bike, you say you have a 595 LM GPS, external GPS?
Yeah.
Now, how are you pairing your headset to your GPS?
I don't.
Okay. And so you just pair your phone to your GPS, or your phone to your headset?
Yes.
Okay.
And sometimes I don't even do that. I just leave it off.
And so I know on my 2006, before I had the N-Dash navigation system, I struggled for probably 2 years trying to figure out how to get all 3 of those devices to work with the FreeWire.
Yeah, I
And
got
it
it
was-
for that real quick. I just didn't bother.
Well, I figured it out. And the thing is the FreeWire does not like to be paired to doesn't like more than 3 things to be paired into it.
That's exactly, well, no, because I'm only pairing the headset to the FreeWire.
Right.
And I don't, if I had the GPS on there, I would probably pair it right to the headset without the phone.
Right. So what I started doing to get everything to work in harmony was I paired my phone to my GPS to
Right.
let the phone come through the GPS.
Right.
And then I paired the headset to the GPS and I paired the headset to the FreeWire. And
I
then
tried that after I got the new Garmin. It didn't work.
Yeah, but that was with the 20S, of course.
Okay.
That wasn't with the
okay.
30K.
I think, well, I don't remember now which one I used. It was probably the 30K. But I did try that when I thought, oh, that'll take a Bluetooth away from the headset, right?
Yeah.
So then I'll just Bluetooth to the GPS and then GPS to the headset. And then that gives me the 2 connections for the price of 1 to the headset. Didn't work. Yeah.
So what I would ask you to do is, because your case it certainly deserves some more investigation here. But I would ask that you not roll back the firmware just quite yet on your 30K, and then have Chris. I'm sure Chris has a way of getting a hold of you.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to chat with you guys. Maybe we can all just get on a conference call and we can try to figure this thing out, because I know there's a way it works. I mean, it's working good for me, and it worked like that for almost 5 days, but we weren't doing what you're trying to do. And so now this brings to light another issue that we have.
See, but I've given up on trying to get all that stuff together, and I just wanted to get them since the firmware update. It blew it all out for that. Like it just keeps like it's worse as it goes.
So if you don't mind maybe holding up on rolling that firmware back, then we'll collaborate with each other, and we'll get Chris involved, and we can all put our heads together. Even though he's jumped ship and went to Cardo and really doesn't care anymore about the Sena stuff.
This video cast.
Yeah, but you and I have the
reason. Yeah, but just so that everybody understands, like these things that Sena made, like if they work, this is awesome. And I just wanted to get it out there that firmware update didn't do it for some of us, and just to be aware that don't go out spending a lot of money on it till we actually figure out what's
right. And that's what Chris and I talked about, right, Chris? I mean, on the last thing we talked about, hey man, if there's people that aren't having the same experience as I am with it, that we need to know about these things. And then
that's why I spoke up, was just it's not the case for everybody. And like, I'm really glad that yours is successful and that it's working for you, but I'd be deathly afraid of updating the firmware again, you guys.
Yeah, but it begs to tell me that it's a limited success, and that if I'm not looking at the bigger picture, that maybe it isn't figuring out all the problems for everybody, because quite frankly, Sena's not going to tell us anything. They're not going to help us out with this problem, because they just, it's not enough big potatoes for them.
Right. And they just dangle that shiny new
thing
in front of you. It's going to fix everything.
So when Chris asked me, am I going to go out and buy a 50S? Of course not. Why am I going to go buy a 50S when I can't even make sure that my 30K is working consistently well on all my rides? There's no sense to do it. And even if you dangle that $150 in front of me, I'm not going to do it.
And why buy a 30K if it's the same
buy a car
in a 50 series?
Exactly. So, but anyway, hey, gentlemen, nice talking to you. I got to get going.
Yeah.
And,
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate
yeah,
you
but-
coming on
Thanks,
and
Mark.
sharing with us and answering questions that people have. And I appreciate
no
you
worries.
just, having a word with Jarvis Biker. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Have him get in contact with me, or you got my number. You can do whatever we'll talk here in the next day or so.
You can find me on Facebook too. It's Jarvis Biker
Okay.
Moto. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very good. Very
Yeah.
good. All right.
You can hook me
Thanks,
up.
Mark.
God bless you guys.
All
Bye-bye.
right, thanks, Mark.
Bye.
Alan, are you still on the
Same here.
line?
I am.
Do you have anything
Oh.
you want to add? I'm gonna give another caller an opportunity to try to call in.
Sure,
Do you have
sure.
anything you want to add before
Yeah, my head is hurting from this whole conversation.
It's kind of making me spin myself.
Man, and Alan, that's how we feel when we're trying to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Yeah.
see my videos, and I'm just speaking for my vids. A lot of people see my videos, and it looks easy, it looks simple, but I actually have to work very hard doing what I do.
Yeah,
People have no idea. When people ride with me, they kind of understand it. They see a little bit of it, but they don't see actually when I get home and have to take all of that video and upload it and store it and then put it in the editing software and chop it up. And then they don't even see that. They just see how much goes into recording. So, I mean, I understand you're saying your head is hurting. Imagine trying to figure this stuff out. Imagine going out, putting all of this into a video or a vlog that you're not even getting paid to do after you bought all this equipment, and then get home and find out you don't have no audio. And then after all of that, once you put all of that into it, somebody thumbs down your video because they didn't have the ability to do what you did. Imagine that. So
No, I hear you. I understand your pain. I absolutely understand your pain.
Right.
All right, guys.
And there's guys out. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Alan.
No, I just said, have a good night, guys. Thank you very much. It's really interesting to hear all about this stuff.
Okay.
You too. Stay safe.
Thank you, Alan.
Take
All right.
care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
So there's guys out there that I mean, we're still the ones. Well, you're not. We're still the ones that are trying to make the Sena stuff work and still working at it, trying to hopefully get it to do what we want to do. And there's guys out there that gave up a long time ago.
Correct.
So
Yeah. And this, like I said, not to be redundant, but for the last time, this is why I went to Cardo.
Yeah.
Because I was having too many issues with my Sena. This is why. If I was just a regular rider and all I wanted to do was just talk to my passenger and I wasn't recording videos and I wasn't doing anything but just riding my motorcycle, talking to my
be
passenger,
fine. I'd work every day, hands down. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But for what I do, riding with a group, talking to, 5, 6, 7, 8 bikers, running 4 or 5 cameras,
Right.
For what I do, this Cardo, man, I mean, it just outperforms the Sena. So the 50K, I mean, the 50 series may work fine, but I'll probably never find out because I'm happy with the Cardo. That's not to say down the road I may not go to something else, but right now Cardo is, I'm happy with what they're doing.
Well, you got everything working. You're fine. It's you and it's consistently working for you. Like that's what you want, and there's no need to go back. The only thing that you would want that you might want to go back to was because you lost you'd lose the connection to the bike to the Bluetooth being stereo. I think when you do the Cardo to the bike, you can end up with not being stereo anymore. The J&M system was like that as well. If you blended a Cardo with a J&M, they said it would work, but it would only work in mono, no stereo.
Right.
So, in a helmet, is it really needed? Can you really, with the new speakers on the Cardos, I know that the sound's a lot better. These Q3s were excellent sound out of them. Like you could rock right out and then with these. And but though that with the good sound, then you would realize that you might be missing the stereo. But for the Senas with the speaker systems they got, I mean, you wouldn't even know that you weren't stereo.
Well, we're going to end this video cast in about 3 minutes. We've been on almost 2 hours live in the Caliente garage. We've been talking about the Sena 30K new update, buyer beware. Mark out in California told us
Right.
live video cast that the new update from Sena corrected the 30K. Tonight we're on with Jarvis Biker out of Ontario, Canada, who says, not so fast, people. This new update,
Careful.
be very careful with this new update because it made his 30Ks worse. So, you know, we're not telling you one way or the other. We're just putting the information out there so you can decide. In the meanwhile, Caliente is rocking with Cardo while they try to figure out what's going on with their centers. So if anybody out there is watching this video, we're going to end this in about 2 minutes. If you want to call in and chime in on this video, I'm going to give one more person the opportunity. Area code 901-468-9032. If you want to add anything to what we talked about tonight, if you have a comment, or if you have a question for Jarvis Biker, the phone line is wide open, 901-468-9032, and we're going to end this in approximately 1 minute. You got 1 minute if you want to call in and chime in on this video.
Past Jarvis Biker's bedtime.
It's past your bedtime.
We'll survive.
Well, I pretty much think that's going to be it for the night. Jarvis Biker, I just appreciate you coming on. And,
Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
With this Sena 30K update, I think it's important that we get the word out. And that was the reason, one of the reasons why I started this platform was to give people an opportunity to tell their experiences with a certain product or good, bad, or indifferent. So if you guys have any questions or any comments, feel free to put it down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, be sure to sign up for the Chris Caliente Gold Wing group and Darksiders, the hottest Facebook group in the land. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. This is your boy Chris out in the Caliente garage with Jarvis Biker out of Canada. And we didn't do the Canada national anthem. And I will talk to you guys later.
Good night, boys.
All right.
I take my hat off.
We see thee rise, the North strong free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. We stand on guard for thee. We stand on guard for thee.
Should be a hockey game starting.
Hey, good night, everybody. We appreciate you, Jarvis Biker. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye.
All right, bye.